Welcome to Saturday Morning Retro, episode 24, a podcast focused on retro gaming and giving ourselves an excuse to play our collection. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us, and if you want to show support for the Rated G Network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/RatedG4Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G4Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
Going on, man? And we're back. This is our first episode from our little, hiatus.
We took a little summer vacation.
You are 1 year older. How does it feel to be 65 and retired? How does it feel?
I'll let you know when I get there in like 20 some odd years. Feeling good. I'm feeling good. 1 year older, yeah. I'm feeling good. Just got back from vacation. If you haven't listened to the next regular installment of Rated G, I can say that it was an amazing vacation. And I have to say, it was a true vacation. Not to say that playing video games is a bad thing. I mean, obviously we love it, and we do 2 podcasts about it. But I didn't bring any video games with me. I didn't play a single game, not even the mobile phone games. I was in the moment, enjoying the vacation, and it was amazing. It was a good time.
Sometimes you have to unplug, you know? Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just have to unplug and step away. I know since we didn't have to do the show, I know we didn't do the show for like 2-3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. I sort of got to unplug somewhat because every day I'm scouring the internet for things for us to talk about on both shows. Right. So I didn't have to do that this time. I got to just play games. I'm done with work. I get to just play games. I don't have to worry about the news, what's going on in the world of video games.
Right.
So I got to take somewhat of a break too, and and I know in the next installment of Rated G, we're going to talk about Gamescom, and that's our anniversary show. So definitely go and listen to that show. But I know I missed doing the podcast, and I am excited to do this show.
Same. I am recharged and ready.
You know why I'm excited to do the show?
What's that?
Because Dave, we have an awesome show this month. Okay, we're gonna jump into our backlog, and we're gonna talk about Populous for the SNES, and I'm excited to talk about Jak X Combat Racing. I didn't think I would be excited about talking about this game, but I was itching for this show first. I really wanted to sell you on this game because I don't know, no surprises. I kind of really love it. But before we get into any of that, we always start a Saturday morning retro show with sort of this time in gaming history. Okay, August 14th, 1995, the Virtual Boy launched in North America. I honestly forgot about this. I forgot that the Virtual Boy launched during the summer.
That's right. 11 days after my 15th birthday was the Virtual Boy. And
really,
I wanted one real bad. Oh yeah, I wanted one real bad. And it's funny. I used to do some babysitting on the side for my neighbors a few houses down, and they were like 2 kids, maybe 4 and 6 or 5 and 7, maybe something like that. And they had a Virtual Boy, so I got to play their Virtual Boy, and I was playing some Mario Tennis and the other Wario game, I think.
I don't think I ever heard this story. You never told me this.
Oh, yeah. So I got to play it. It was cool for like 5 minutes, and then I realized the downfall of it. One is very cumbersome. It was very hard to play. You had to like sit down. You had to put some books on it so it was at the right height, so your neck didn't get hurt. And if you have optimal conditions, right, you can sit down. You're in a comfortable environment. You're relaxed. It's at the right height. you can still only play it for a few minutes because, ooh, it hurts. It hurts the brain. It's tough.
I mean, you don't think it would have benefited from having a strap, right? Strap to your head, or like VR headsets now, where I could be playing. The issue with VR headsets, well, at least the Virtual Boy, is it is truly single player, unless I guess I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know if you can have two Virtual Boys and play together, right? But it is truly single player. At least
I think they had a way to link two together.
Yeah. At least with like the PSVR, I could be playing a game, but you can see it on the TV, right?
Well, sure.
So,
Yeah.
So I may be immersed in whatever game I'm playing, but at least you can see what I'm doing, right?
Right. The Virtual Boy is all self-contained, right? And that was kind of the thing.
So if you're jumping up and you're smiling, or you're like, God damn it, I have no idea what's going on because I can't see it.
Yeah, that was kind of one issue. It only had red as a color. That was a cost-saving maneuver. So it was just black and like 3 or 4 shades of red, right? It was very heavy. The base stand was very weak. It wasn't that great. Had an odd controller, although it did have 2 D-pads on it, which was kind of cool.
I don't think the controller was odd, to be honest. I think we've never had an episode where we talked about just controllers.
Sure.
But I would say the Virtual Boy controller is underrated.
It's not the worst thing in the world. No, it's not the worst thing in the world. It does have 2 D-pads, predecessor to the dual analog sticks, right?
Yeah.
You could use them in tandem, I guess, for like left side, right side, right? If you're, you kind of figure them as like 2 hands, maybe. Select Start BA. I don't think it had any shoulder buttons, so you got 4 face buttons and 2 D-pads, which is pretty good. The portability was terrible though. I think it was 6 AAA or 6 AA batteries, and it just drained right away.
Oh yeah, you definitely flew through those batteries.
Yeah,
completely.
yeah, and there was really no good way to like play it on the go because, like you said, there was no head strap or anything. It was just kind of got to put it on the surface and hope that it's stable enough.
Well, it's a question: do you have a Virtual Boy in your collection?
Sadly, I do not. No Virtual Boy.
So I have a Virtual Boy,
Mm-hmm.
and I've come to realize that just like the Sega CD is sort of fickle, right? Like the Sega CD, the Game Gear, those things don't really last that long. Like you may have to get it fixed. The issue with the Virtual Boy is like the strips that are inside for the on the piece for your eyes that can wane and go bad or melt. The plastic will melt over time if you keep using it or something along those lines. I remember I looked it up, because you could easily buy a broken Virtual Boy for
parts,
an okay price. I want to say a good price because it's still expensive because they know you can spend like another $100 to get it fixed.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So I do own the Virtual Boy, and I wish I collect more Virtual Boy games. I mean, I know it's not hard. I probably have half the collection. No, that's
well, there's only 15 North American releases that came out,
and I have 7.
Yeah, and only 2 of those games are really hard to get. Jack Brothers and Waterworld.
Yep,
yeah,
that's correct.
Everything else is like pretty reasonable. Like
no,
under
that's not true.
$50, I think.
No, that's not true. There's a game I got for Christmas. Can't even think. It was the last Virtual Boy game I got. I can't think of the top of my head. That game cost like $150.
Oh, really? Okay. So there's 3 games that are very hard to get.
Well, $150 is more obtainable than $800.
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Like Waterworld is like I think like around like $600, $700, $800 depending on the condition if it's in box or whatever. So
not a terrible game, but definitely not worth that price, especially on a Virtual Boy, which you're never going to play. You're going to play it once and then put it away.
Well, I'll tell you. I mean, you told your story about the Virtual Boy. I will say, growing up, looking at the ads in the the different Nintendo Powers, I really wanted a Virtual Boy.
Sure.
I really wanted it. Just like any of those kids in the 90s, you know, I wanted to have, I always dreamed, it was like I would fantasize about having the big wall unit with the TV in the middle. That I'm dating myself. This 90s. They don't do, you know, you don't buy the huge entertainment, you know, wall unit anymore.
Right.
But that's what I wanted.
I wanted projection TV, right?
Yeah, I wanted the big wall unit, and you know, the wall unit had all these different you know, you have all these places where you could put different consoles.
Yep.
I want to have the wall unit surrounded with consoles, and then behind me I have a bookshelf with all the games, and then in the front on the table I'm gonna have the Virtual Boy. And like I would always fantasize about playing Waterworld. I always wanted to buy Waterworld. I'm surprised I haven't bought it already.
Right.
I don't care that the game sucks. It's the game I always really wanted when I was like a kid.
Right.
So. In 1990, when did this come out? 95?
95, yeah. For $179.99. It was almost $200. Almost the price of a Super Nintendo when that launched. I guess...
In 95, I was 13 years old.
Right. If we adjust for inflation, let me try and do that real quick.
Well, it should have been $199. Screw it. I mean, I know they wanted to have sort of that... that buffer between the SNES and the N64, but for $20 more, give us a little bit more color than red.
Well, I mean, that was kind of a limitation of the time, right? To do a 3-color LCD screen or whatnot would have bumped up the price like a hell of a ton. Granted, they should have done that because it would have increased the longevity a little bit, but.
Well, there you go. Give me $20 better screen. That's what I want.
So, by today's price, it would be more expensive than an Xbox Series S. $338.68 for a Virtual Boy today. Obviously, that wouldn't be the case if you were to make a Virtual Boy today. It would be super cheap to recreate one of those. So, you could make one and sell it for less than $100 and still make profit. I mean... But, yeah, it would be $338 today. It's crazy.
Okay. So, Dave. Did you get any good pickups this month?
I got one. When I got back from vacation, I had a little package from Special Reserve Games. Shout out to Special Reserve. I got Demon Throttle for the Switch. I forgot that I ordered it. And,
we ordered it at the same time.
Yeah. So I got that game. It is, I haven't gotten to play it yet, but it is, if anyone remembers the game King's Knight on Nintendo, it's infamous because it is a game that you can immediately screw yourself over and not be able to win and not know that you can't win because it's a forward-scrolling shooter. You play as one of 4 characters, and you move forward automatically, and you have to shoot all these things, and you have to pick up, I think there's certain power-ups you have to pick up. You have to be the boss of every stage. Each character cannot die, and then you get to the final boss stage, and you use all 4 characters together, use their combined powers, and you beat the game. But you didn't really, I don't even know if it said it in the instruction book or whatnot. You just kind of had to learn the hard way. But this is very much a game that is in the spirit of King's Knight, except it doesn't have that ridiculous like, oh, you got to keep all these characters alive, but you don't really know that. So, and it's cool. It looks like a Nintendo game. It's got downsampled sound clips that sound like they would be coming out of a Nintendo, which is awesome. It's really cool. So I can't wait to get into it. But
okay.
But how about you, Dan?
Right.
What have you picked up this month, or last month, I should say?
Well, I did get. I mean, I have Demon Throttle. I think I talked about that last month too. It came in. I played a little bit of it. It is. I really want you to play because I want your thoughts on it. So I think it was I think it's good. I think it's a good game. I want to get back into it, and maybe one day I will. I just have so much. I have so much other things to play, but I do want your thoughts on Demon Throttle.
Right. Okay.
So I got one limited run pickup that came in. Totally forgot I ordered this with that, which was Castlevania Requiem, right? Which was the Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood I got it on the PS4.
Mm.
So that came. Yep, that came in, and I got some GameStop pickups. Took a quick trip to the GameStop, and I'm always looking for the future hidden gem for the Switch. Right? And I thought this would be it, and maybe it is for people who like RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Turn-based RPGs. Metal Max Xeno Reborn.
I don't know this game.
Neither did I. I just knew you were in a tank. It is. I thought it would be more of an action game, right? Like an action RPG, but it's definitely a Japanese game. When you're out of the tank and you're running around and you see like a monster or enemy, it's like insect enemies.
Mm-hmm.
It is turn based where you sort of like have to pick your action, right?
Okay.
When you're in a tank, it's the same thing, and I like being in the tank in the open world, sort of going around and shooting enemies. It's the same thing. You gotta like pick whatever your action's gonna be.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the turn based isn't really my style.
Right.
This is a Japanese game in the vein of any Japanese RPG or like Astral Chain. They reminded me of Astral Chain, to be honest. When I looked at it. And I looked at the back of the box. I thought it was like going to be like sort of like an Astral Chain in a tank.
Mm-hmm.
But when I actually started playing it, I was like, oh, this is sort of like you got to pick an attack or pick a action to do. No, not really my style. So it could be a hidden gem for someone who likes sort of like turn-based RPGs, maybe like you. Mm-hmm. It was a little boring for me, and a little not really my style. But I do want to. I want to play it a little bit more to see if it can capture me. I want to say it's a little bland as far as like the open world because like it's like a desolate desert and stuff like that. So
you're not quite selling me on this. Like I was with you with the turn-based RPG and all that. Yeah, I'll check it out. Though. I'll check it out.
Yeah, well, yeah, it definitely it wasn't too expensive, and if you can get it used, I would suggest get it used. I got Blaze Blue. What is this? Blaze Blue Central Fiction.
Yeah,
PS4.
Yeah. Made by Arc System Works of Guilty Gear fame.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did, and I did pick up. This is hard to find at a GameStop nowadays, but I got a GameCube game. GameStop.
Nice.
I know. What year is this? Right? It's 2022 when I found the GameCube.
Sometimes you'll find them.
I don't own any of the Harvest Moon games, but now I have Harvest Moon Magical Melody for the game for the GameCube. It was $9, well $9.99, so it was $10.
Oh, steal!
I looked on. Yep, I looked online. This game goes for like 30 or 50, depending on the condition. Did
it have the manual or no manual?
It definitely had the insert. Let me check right now.
Yeah.
Let me check right now. I don't know if a manual came with this game, but it definitely has the GameCube inserts with the promotion, and that was
definitely of the time when all games came with manuals. Because I remember buying Pikmin, the original Pikmin for the GameCube, and it had the case, it had the game, but it didn't have the manual inside, and they didn't mention that. They just they were in shock that they even had a GameCube game, but by the time it was already rung up and my card was already out, I'm like, forget it, it's fine.
Well, I mean, again, like I said, it has the inserts in it, no manual. That's fine. When I brought it up to the lady, because I was like, I'm not a Harvest Moon person, but it's a GameCube game. Come on. And she said, "Oh, we just got that in yesterday." And I was like, "Well, now it's going out the door today."
They do not stay quick, all right?
And I wasn't even going to GameStop that day when I picked it up. I was like, I'm in the area. This GameStop never has anything. All right, I'll check it out.
Except for when it does.
And lastly, I got Saints Row for the Xbox Series X.
Oh, the new one, or the remake, I guess.
I know it's not getting the greatest reviews, but the gameplay that I saw, it's a game for me. So it's a game for it. It looks like a game for me from all the stuff that I saw.
I
So
mean,
said, this is
the gameplay is the same, and that's essentially gone unchanged. But
well, again, nothing new in the game, and people weren't so keen on whatever the story elements are, and they said it's boring, a little bit boring and repetitive after a couple of hours. So, again, it looks like a game for me. So I picked it up. I said I'll bite the bullet. I'm gonna pick it up, and I just installed it before we started recording, so I haven't played it yet. So I'll definitely talk about it on the regular Rated G show on games we're playing.
Oh, good deal.
So Dave, before we jump into our backlog, talk about Populous and Jak X, I'm excited for this. Our top 3. We do this every other month now. Our top 3, and this month we're going to do our top 3 most overrated consoles.
Oh, I love this question.
And to spice it up, we're even going to throw in handheld. So if you want to pick a handheld, it counts. A handheld console.
Mm-hmm.
So overrated.
Okay.
Top 3.
Okay.
We have no idea. I have no idea what Dave is going to say. So my reaction will be genuine. And let me say this before we start. Dave, are you crazy? Overrated? It is not overrated. Just going to.
You're just gonna say that for all my answers? Yeah, I'm just gonna give out. You're not even gonna pretend to think that you could conceivably say that. Okay, I could agree this console is overrated or this handheld is overrated.
I'm just gonna. I know that reaction. I'm gonna have that reaction for at least one of your picks. I'm just gonna throw it out there now.
Oh my god,
it's not overrated. Are you crazy, Dave? Dave, you're crazy. It's not overrated.
I need to have a button. I need to have a soundboard button that's just that. Because that could be used in many instances.
Yes. All right. So Dave, tell me, what are your top 3 overrated video game consoles?
All right, you want me to do them 3 to 1, right?
Do it 3 to 1.
And I put these in level of overratedness, if that makes any sense, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So the last one I think is the most overrated console of all time.
Number 1.
To date.
Numero uno.
Yeah, the first one, yeah. So my number 3 pick is the Neo Geo.
Ooh.
Overrated console. Right? Now, this console came out, I believe, they were arcade cabinets. Then they made a home console version, which the same cartridge was compatible with the arcade thing, innovative for its time. The console came out at $700, which was way too high. Immediately had a price drop to $500. Still 2.5 times the price of a Super Nintendo, 3 times the price of a Genesis, or even more depending on where that price drop was. Mostly fighting games and Metal Slug. That was all on the console, except in the beginning you had there was a Baseball Stars game. There's a couple of beat 'em ups, Bust a Move here and there, but that all kind of went away, and it was just King of Fighters and Fatal Fury. That was about it. Home console surprisingly only had mono sound, and it had some weird ass controllers. They had the big fight stick, which I think came with it, right? 4 buttons and an arcing pattern, and a control stick, right? Like an arcade stick, a bat, I think a baseball bat style. No, ball top, I think, and a start button, I think, for pausing or whatever. That was it. Now there's a handheld controller you could get extra on top of that. Buttons were in the same fashion. It was better, I think. In some ways, but still kind of not great. So that's my number 3. You agree or disagree with that? No, I want to gauge the temperature of the room here.
I agree. I agree, and I will say. So far, our lists don't match. I thought about the Neo Geo.
Okay.
I thought about the Neo Geo, but I didn't put it on my list.
Right.
But I do agree. I do agree.
I don't think everybody's necessarily hoisting it up, but the people that do are like, oh my god, all the great fighting games on there, and that's where that begin and ends.
It does have really good fighting games.
It sure does.
Can't deny that.
It sure does. It has some great sprite work on there, but sorry, it's overrated. Number 2.
Here we go.
N64.
Okay.
First true 64-bit console. Sorry, Jaguar. All right, not this
Okay.
two 32-bit processors side by side junk. Yeah, Nintendo 64. Now, innovative in many ways, right? Was the first commercial console to have an analog stick. They did have controllers that had it before. I think you can kind of argue over that, but nobody knows about those. Nobody cares about those. Doesn't matter. The N64 was the introduction to analog controls. So you got to give them credit there. But Nintendo was the only company that really, Nintendo and Rare, the only company that knew how to use the controller effectively and make games that work with it, right? You know, the C button, the little yellow buttons that were all the C buttons, was meant for the camera, mostly, right? The Z button underneath are your targeting button. And you hold it with your hand in the middle, and then you're with the right hand on the right-hand side, right?
You know there's an issue where you have to put out something on the how to properly hold and use the controller. If you have to explain that, that's a problem.
Yeah. So I give them credit for the innovation. They certainly started kick things off. Everyone's using analog controls now, but not to mention only 293 games on the console. Didn't even crack 300, right? And all the good ones are only from Nintendo and Rare. So 2 companies that made all of the good games with very, very few exceptions.
And the expensive ones came from Blockbuster.
Yeah. So
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, I agree.
Oh, look at this. You're gonna have to eat your words, Dan.
I agree. I don't agree with the first one. I already know it.
You don't?
I don't. I don't even know what
you
it is.
You don't know what it is. You don't. No. You think you know, but you have no idea. All right.
Ooh.
This is the true story of the most overrated console of all time. Number 1. Drum roll, please. The Nintendo Wii.
Okay. All right.
Now, you thought I was going to say the Saturn. No.
I was. I did.
No.
I did.
No. Too easy. I can see how people would think that it's very underrated, doesn't get its due and all that. Sure. But the Wii, now I had to look this up. It did drop a few points because it's a few spots, I should say. But it was like in the top 3 best-selling consoles of all time. It is now number 7. Number 7,
counting handhelds, but like,
just the home
actual
consoles. I guess it's like top 3, top 4. Yeah.
Yeah, home consoles. The Switch passed it, so now it's top 4.
Right, because it's PS2.
Because it's PS2, PS4, Switch,
right.
and now the Wii.
The Nintendo Wii. All right. Now you can say one of the top selling consoles of all time. That's fine. You can even say it has one of the top selling games of all time, Wii Sports, but that's only because it was a pack-in with the system. And that was the only game that people played. Wii Sports and Mario Kart, right? That's it. I know thousands and thousands of people that have these systems, and every time you see sales on Craigslist and offer up and whatever else, what does it come with? Comes with a copy of Wii Sports. It comes with Mario Kart, and probably gonna come with those stupid Wii wheels. That's it. Now, I love the Wii. It did a lot of really cool things, but nobody likes motion control. Not in that way.
Just because it's overrated doesn't mean we don't love it enough.
Exactly. So I come from a place of reference, but sometimes you got to put a console in its place. Sometimes you got to be like, no. It's not that great. All right? Got to understand it for what it is. So those are my top 3.
No HDMI connection, right?
No.
Yeah.
It barely had component. You could give 480p output. It was not HD in any way, shape, or form.
And I'm not gonna lie, for people, who weren't in the know, who didn't know, who weren't everyday gamers, and even now for certain collectors. I know when I first started collecting, I didn't realize that I thought motion control was an option. There's certain games where no, this is how you play the game.
Right. They force it on you, right?
They force it on you, right? Where I thought it was just an option. It's like, oh, okay, I can just use my controller. I just turn it sideways. No, you need the nunchuck.
Yeah.
Because they force you to do it.
Right.
They force you to do the motion controls.
And it's so divisive. Like, it's not like, oh, it's a no-brainer. Everyone's just going to love playing this way. No, not at all.
Oh, no. I know. So I will say this. The Wii was number 2 on my list.
Ah, nice. Okay,
I also had the Wii.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because they forced you to do motion control, and there is no HDMI port, right?
Yep.
So I definitely had the Wii on my list as number 2. So we don't know what my number 3 and number 1 is. Okay, we're gonna go my from top to bottom. So I mean from bottom to top. Let's go with number 3 from my list of most overrated consoles. And I already know I'm gonna hear Dave. You might as well have that soundboard for you.
Here it comes.
I got to put the Dreamcast at number 3. I'm sorry.
I knew it.
I'm
Dan's
sorry.
a hater. I'm sorry.
I'm not a hater. I'm not a hater. Look. The controller. I'm sorry. It sucked. All right. Why is the wire?
No. I will give you that.
I will give you
that.
It doesn't feel. You went from the 3-button, 6-button Genesis controller, right? Which you can say whatever you want with the 3-button, but it felt good in your hand to hold, and it was sort of like it's one more button than the NES, because the SNES came out after the Genesis, right? And then they put out the 6-button controller when the Super Nintendo came out to compete with the shoulder triggers and all that stuff. Then you have the Saturn controller, the second version of the Saturn controller, which widely, I know Dave doesn't agree, but it's widely sort of known as like the best retro controller. Okay,
right.
People think that the second version of the Saturn controller is the best retro controller that you could use. Period.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
And I semi-agree to that. I still like the SNES controller better, but that's
Classic.
my second best retro controller.
Classic.
But and then you go to this controller. It doesn't feel right. You got the stupid wire under you instead of on top of the controller, and then you have these. I get what they were trying to do. You got these you got these memory cards that are games that that have mini games on them, but have batteries. So if the battery dies, you can't use it. So
well, I mean, true. But I mean, they lasted for a good while, and it was an innovation for its time. I mean, I
feel like that should have been like, you should have regular memory cards, and you can have this if you want, right? Not like every memory card is a VMU. I think it was a VMU. Was it called a VMU, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, video memory unit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I would take the wire in the front of the controller if you give up that. I'm sorry. I just I didn't see the need for that. And guess what? No one's done it since. Okay.
Well, sure. I mean, you do have to recognize one of your most underrated consoles, the Xbox, took great inspiration from the Dreamcast.
No. I am fully aware of that, because the Xbox came out 2 years later, right? 2001.
99, 2001. Yeah.
Yeah, it came out 2 years later and did what the Dreamcast should have been, in my opinion, my humble opinion, what the Dreamcast should have been. It definitely had. I'm not saying the console didn't have the games, right? It did have some good games. It did have some good games. I'm not even judging the games itself. I'm judging the console itself by the controller. I think it was rushed out to market. To be, just to hit that $99.99 mark, which what I could do. It didn't play any DVDs, which was a big misstep for them. Right? You can't play DVDs on it. That
was a big feather in the cap for Sony, for sure.
Yeah. You can't play. You couldn't play DVDs on it. And again, in my heart, I think it's kind of rated. I'm not saying it's definitely not underrated. I think it's rated, but it's slightly overrated. I know the love for the Dreamcast is strong, and I think it's slightly, just a little slightly overrated. Just slightly.
Yeah.
That's why it's number
Okay.
3 on my list.
All right.
Number 3. Nowhere near number 1.
All right.
Okay.
I mean, I can't argue on the controller. It was kind of a dog shit controller.
Well, you know what? The controllers have to battle when it comes to video games.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
In my view, it's games, controller. All right.
Yep.
And if the controller isn't any good at all, then it's half the battle, right? Your experience is now washed.
Yep.
So, all right. So number 2 is the Wii. You already said that. And number 1, my number 1 overrated game. And yes, I'm going to say this is overrated because I knew a lot of people who were like, in your face, Dan. I got the Atari Jaguar. In your face. I got a Jaguar at home.
Wait. You think the Jaguar is overrated?
I do.
Oh
What it is,
no!
I think
I'm
it's
sorry.
overrated.
Ref on the field. I'm throwing a flag. I don't know about that. Who is going to bat for the Jaguar?
I knew so many people growing up.
I
Who
mean,
was like, Dan, I got a Jaguar and you don't. I got a 64-bit console and you got the SNES and the Genesis. Like in my face on the playground. Not even like this is like a true story. Like people are like, I got the Jaguar.
I mean,
And I'm
sure.
And don't get me wrong. We talked about earlier in the show, wanting to have the Virtual Boy. Like the Jaguar was on the list. I wanted the Jaguar too, right? Like I saw Jaguar games in magazines. I saw the commercials with the claw marks. It was very
sure.
enticing. It was very
Like,
enticing.
the hype was high.
Yeah.
but-
Well, guess what? Even the minimal hype that still has now is still overrated.
Wow. Okay, so I think I see where you're coming from. The console was such dog shit that anytime anybody gives it praise, they're just like they're bananas.
They're
Out of
reaching.
their mind.
They're reaching.
Right,
They should be.
right.
They should be committed into an insane asylum. Committed.
Can't even say a good word about AVP or RoboCop. Is nope. Tempest 2000. Nope. Can't even. It's that bad. Okay.
Listen, if someone comes to me and says, Dan, Doom is the best way to play, I will say, I will bite the bullet and say, play the shit on PC.
Oh, I mean, PC forever. But yeah.
Play it on PC.
Right.
Play it on PC.
Right. Oh,
No,
shoot.
okay. The controller sucks. Okay.
Oh
The
my
controller
God, yeah.
sucks.
With the number
All right.
pad on it?
All right.
I don't
Yeah. It's worse. Listen, I just got through saying how bad the Dreamcast controller was, and the Dreamcast controller is 90% better than the Jaguar controller.
It's
All right?
100% better. There's nothing redeeming about the Atari Jaguar controller.
Well, I was
like-
being nice. But okay, it's 100% better.
It's like the worst bits of the Intellivision controller fused with like the boomerang shape of a Genesis controller. It's terrible.
Yes, the only redeeming quality of the Jaguar controller is it's rounded at the edges. That's it.
Yeah,
That's all.
it doesn't cut your hands up.
That's it. If they would have made it square like the NES controller, then it would just been total trash.
Right. The
Design of the Jaguar sucks.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. The design of the Jaguar kind of sucks too. I mean, think about it for a second. Every console that I can think of, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's that one console that I can't think of, but every console that had cartridge where you put the cartridge in had a cover for the cartridge slot.
Oh my God! Yeah,
So
it's
you
like a
don't
dust
get-
cover. Yeah.
So yes, the Jaguar didn't at all, completely. So if you have a Jaguar sitting out, hopefully you have something over it, or if not, you're gonna have to like hit it with like a compressed can of air to
Right.
blow out any dust that's in it, right? Because that you need the pins to touch each other so you can play the game. So that's just poor design. I see what they were going for, but it should have had a cover on it. Completely had a cover on it.
Of course.
And then it had 3 good games out of like the 50 games that came out for it. It had like 3 good games.
Yeah.
So for whatever hype, minimal hype that people give it,
Wow. Okay.
it's still too much.
Okay.
And this is a nostalgia pick for me because people would say, "In your face, Dan! I got a 64-bit console," you know.
Mm-hmm.
And now, I didn't say it then because I didn't know, but now I can say, no, the fuck you didn't. It's not really 64-bit. All right?
Yep.
So, and I think the Jaguar was like, what, a year or two before the N64? Or 2 years before the N64?
93, I think. Maybe 94. Yeah.
So, yes, the Atari Jaguar, most overrated console, in my opinion.
Yeah, all right. Well, there we go.
So, all right, Dave, let's take a break. And when we come back, we're going to jump into our backlog and talk about Populous and Jak X Combat Racing. And we're back. Dave, let's dive deep into our backlog and talk about Populous and Jak X Combat Racing. Let me go first because I'm excited to talk about Jak X Combat Racing because I'll be honest, I knew this game existed, but I never played it and I never had an inkling to play it. And I'm so happy I jumped into it. And I want to say off the back, I recommend you have to go play this game.
Okay.
So before I get into, sort of the weeds with Jak X, I want to say I did not play any multiplayer. So anything I have to say about this game, okay, is sort of the cake. And if you play multiplayer, I'm going to assume that's the icing on the cake because I didn't play any multiplayer. All right. And I know a lot of people when it came out, I know it was big on you could play with your friends, right?
Sure.
You could play online. I didn't play.
It doesn't still have the servers are shut down for the PS2 version, right?
Yeah, I'm sure you.
Okay.
PC.
Oh well, maybe you could edit it or whatnot, but
I'm sure you could do some of that.
Right.
I'm sure there are like a million YouTube videos of that. Probably.
Sure.
So Jak X came out in North America October 18th, 2005, right?
Mm-hmm.
From Naughty Dog, published by Sony. Originally released on the PS2, and then it was ported to the PS4. It was definitely sold on limited run. I think it was a limited run game too. It's categorized as a vehicle combat racing game, right? So I played this on my PS5 and PS2. So I played on PS5 on my because it does come with your PlayStation Plus account if you have a premium account to play retro games. And I have the original PS2 game. I have the black label, the black box, and I also have a strategy guide that I got that comes with a demo disc, which is kind of odd, right? A lot of those Prima strategy guides never came with like a demo. It was a demo DVD where it'll show you tips and hidden characters, and this was before the internet was the internet, right? If you wanted to know, like how to hidden characters and stuff like that, somebody needed to show you those things.
Right. Okay.
And even in the DVD, there's a portion of the DVD where I need a code to unlock. That's in the game.
Are you kidding me?
No, there's extras that I can't get into because it asks me for a code that I can only get by playing the game.
That's bananas, but also kind of cool.
So a little background on this. This was sort of the transition between the old and the new leadership from Naughty Dog. Okay, so this was the first game without the co-founders. Okay, so the company wanted to expand on the vehicle aspect of Jak 3 that came out the year prior. Like Ubisoft wanted to expand on the shit combat with Assassin's Creed Black Flag 4 or Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, right? So it was a new team, but they just used the old assets from the previous games. And mind you, Uncharted, the original Uncharted game came out 2 years later after this. Right. So this was the first Naughty Dog game with the new leadership.
Okay.
Just keep that in mind. So they wanted to do something familiar. Obviously, everybody needs funding, everybody needs games, and they want to do something familiar and expand on the racing combat.
Mm-hmm.
The car comeback from Jak 3. So didn't know that. I still haven't played Jak 3. Jak 3 probably be one of those games I do play. Say minute retro. So I have no idea how Jak 3 is in the car combat, but if this is what they expanded on, Jak 3 is probably phenomenal with the combat racing portion of that.
Okay.
The story element, which is the only thing I really care about. You know, I love story. That's the main thing now. It's a single player. You go into adventure mode, and then you jump into the story. And I gotta say, the story is bananas. Okay, there are a lot of the story takes place after Jak 3, exactly after Jak 3. Spoilers: the boss dies in Jak 3.
Oh, Dad! I would have never guessed. Now I can't play this game. No.
Okay, so Jack and his friends get invited, sort of, to an office where they're reading the will of the boss that died in Jak 3, and in the will he wants everybody to take a ceremonial toast, and they all toast and have a drink, and then he says, "Well, I've poisoned all of you because I want you to partake in the Eco Cup Championships. I want to be I always wanted to win this. I always wanted to win this race. So I've poisoned. If you listen to this, I'm dead, but I got one more thing. I'm going to poison all of you, and I want you to take part in this race because I want to win.
Now,
and if you win, my crew will give you the antidote."
Now, does just the winner get the antidote, and is it enough for one person only, or does everyone else get asked out and they just die?
Well, that's what I was thinking. When you first, I haven't beaten the game, but I've seen the end. I'm close to beating the game, and I've seen the ending cutscene, so I already know how it ends. It definitely ends. It definitely ends. I did not see the ending coming, by the way, so I'm not going to spoil that for you.
Okay, I am intrigued now. I need to play this game.
but if yes, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, because in Jak 3, I'm like, all these guys look like they're friends, and Jak apparently saved all of these guys, and now they're trying to kill each other because they all want the antidote, right? So, I thought the same thing. So I went in thinking, okay, this is going to be interesting, right? And there are a lot of different playable characters and unlockables too. Ratchet and Clank skins or Ratchet skin is unlockable in the game as well.
Oh, nice.
So. There are a lot of cutscenes in this game. After every race, there's a cutscene to progress the story, right? So I will say you need to get one or two. If you hit, number 4 or 3, it's not the best of 3. You need to get 1 or 2 to move forward in the story.
Oh, huh. So, okay.
But the game seems to have the same. I mean, I did play Jak 1, so the game seems to have the same humor as the other Jak and Daxter games, right? They do make reference to the other games. You don't have to play the other games to play this game, but you will be lost with sort of the subtle references to the prior game. Okay, so no, you don't need to play the other games, but some of the references and the jokes you probably won't get unless you play the previous game.
Right.
Gameplay-wise, at its core, it's a racing game with 4 cup levels. But you have other objectives. You have other objectives to be. It's not just a racing. It's not just racing. So you have other objectives like beat the clock, death race. The death race is where you you have to destroy a certain amount of drones in a certain amount of time, and collecting items and defeating other racers in arena combat. Which again is the weird part story wise, because you have to destroy other racers, but they've been your friends and you saved them in the other Jak games. But they need to be in this for it to make sense, right? For you need to have other characters, especially in multiplayer, to play. So just like Mario Kart, where you have the question blocks in Mario Kart where you can get weapons, they keep with the theme of Jak with the eco. And they have a different color eco instead of question blocks. They call it eco, where you have yellow eco, which is sort of main offensive weapons like missiles, machine guns, and grenades. You have the red eco, which is more of a defensive weapon, like oil spills, proximity bombs, shield, and torrent guns, right? And you also get the Peacemaker. They call it the Peacemaker, which is like the blue shell in Mario Kart. So whoever's number one, you could just stomp them out with the Peacemaker gun. Right? I love that. I've never used that gun because I've always been in the top 3 or top 4 when I'm racing.
Right.
But I want to say, this is a rated R. It's going to be rated R. It's a bitch when you get hit with that. It's just like the blue shell.
Yep.
And then with the weapons, causing damage or destroying other racers causes dark eco meter to fill up. You have a dark eco meter, and you fill that up, and once it's full, your weapons become more powerful, and they stay powerful until you crash or you're destroyed by another racer, which you will be all the time, often. You will be.
Right.
Okay. And the last 2 ecos they have is the green eco, which is health, and blue eco, which is turbo boost, which you will definitely need to stay in this game. It is when we have the racing part, it is precise. You are turbo boosting all the time, and one wrong move will put you from number 1 to number 3 or number 4 easily. Easily. So you really have to sort of memorize a lot of the stage layouts, right? Like, especially if you lose, you got to memorize some of the stage layouts. You don't really do this in Mario Kart, right? I know, any racing game, any sort of, non-sim racing game, you always compare to Mario Kart, right? Unlike Mario Kart, and it tells you on the demo DVD in the strategy guide, you should lean on when you're doing these sharp turns, hit the corner, lean on the corner, let the edge of the stage guide you straight. Because interesting. When you're going fast, it is kind of hard to stay straight. Because again, there's a lot going on. You're turbo boosting. There's somebody in front of you, so you have a yellow eco trying to shoot grenades at them, but at the same time, you have somebody behind you trying to shoot you, but you have to use the red eco in defense of that, right? Throwing down a proximity mine will block anybody trying to shoot you from behind.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things going on, and you're turbo boosting at the same time. So you're doing all of this in a split second. So one misstep, you've been number 1 the whole race, and one misstep, you're number 3 or number 4.
Right.
And a lot of races, I will say, if it's a short course, you got to do 5 laps. If it's a long course, you do 2 laps, but mostly it's 3 laps. You definitely need accurate steering and braking. You're using everything all at once, right? So this is one of those get good at it. So they do have vehicle customization and upgrades where you can change the color and change the look. But you definitely can upgrade the engine for your top speed, gearbox for your acceleration, armor for your strength, and turbo. So it's like a racing RPG, right? You can upgrade your vehicle.
I can get behind that.
Graphics. It looks like an amazing game of its time. Nifty with sleek vehicle designs, right? Epic explosions. And I want to say one of the least things I liked about the game, and I'm nitpicking, is when you die, it's slow motion replay of your death. So it takes you out of the game for like 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's just like Call of Duty, where at the death cam or whatever.
Yeah, it does take you out of the game. It's fair though. I will say it's fair where it puts you right back in that spot. It does put you right back in that spot. So it's not unfair where you die and you've been sitting there for 5 seconds, coming from the heavens, and they put you down. They put you right back there right away. But the replay sort of slows the game down. But you do get epic explosions, and it's always nice when you destroy somebody else.
Oh, of course. I mean,
it's always nice when you destroy somebody else. But it's beautiful with gritty environments. Keen stage design with hidden shortcuts, just like Mario Kart. They do have some hidden shortcuts. And I got to be honest, I did not realize that they had like these cool shortcuts until I watched the demo disc. So the demo disc did come in handy, by the way, in the strategy guide. Because I'm like, oh man, I didn't even know they had shortcuts. This is cool. Like, but they are precise. You must turbo boost at the right time or jump at the right time for these shortcuts for you to take advantage of these shortcuts. Because if you don't, then they'll take you right back before you went in to the shortcut. So make sure you have enough blue eco for turbo boost and accurate jumps.
Right.
I'm just gonna be. I don't think I've ever said this on Saturday Morning Retro. The soundtrack is badass. It's badass.
Okay.
It's one of the best things about the game. I mean, the soundtrack was recorded with musicians from various rock metal bands like Perfect Circle, Crystal Meth, Faith, No More, and Tool.
Shoot! I love those bands. Every single one of them. That's kind of amazing. Amazing.
It's one of the best things about the game. Like the soundtrack is so memorable. You're rocking out to it. You're like, this is dope. Like I was like playing this. Usually, I like to play games on mute unless this is like sort of until you get to the cutscene where I gotta hear what's going on, and then I listen to the podcast. No. I want to listen to the music because it gets you in the game. It's like badass. Like this is one of the best parts about it.
Nice.
The least thing, I want to say the least thing I didn't like about this game isn't the game itself, but a glitch that came in the original release, which is the black label. The game, it had a glitch where it had a memory card glitch where it would erase or corrupt your memory card.
Oh shoot!
So if you're a collector, you want not just a collector. If you're a collector and a player, not you want to actually play these games, or on the original hardware. You want to get the greatest hits version of this game because it fixed that issue. Okay. There is a way around it. If you do get the black label game, there's a way around it. Load the game, then pull the memory card out and put it back in again when you want to save.
Okay.
But if you want to avoid doing all of that, get the greatest hits version. Or just play it on PlayStation Plus Premium.
Right.
If you
right.
So does this game, one of the two ultimate questions that we asked, does this game hold up today? I'm going to say an emphatic yes.
I can tell by the enthusiasm that you had a good time playing it and that you would continue playing it. You've got me so excited that I want to play it.
Yes. Metacritic was around when this came out because it's, the platform, obviously PS2, Metacritic score is a 76. User score is at 80. It got 30 positive reviews, 15 mixed reviews, and 1 negative. Best review that I found, it got a 100 from Detroit Free Press. Weird that Detroit Free Press actually reviewed video games. And the worst score was a 30 from Games TM. I can't find the original article, but they said it's horrible, soulless, and poorly designed racing game that manages to be equally boring as it is frustrating, and I couldn't wholeheartedly disagree more with that assessment.
Wow, yeah, that seems kind of harsh. Kind of harsh.
Yes, way harsh. If you want this game complete, you can get it for $8.97, Lukey. Okay,
that is a steal. Then
that is a steal. But the main thing that you guys want to know is, what is my rating? What do I give it?
That's what I want to know, Dan. Fill me in.
And I went back and forth. I went back and forth with this, and I want to say I got to knock some points off for the original version of this game. For definitely the memory card glitch. And I wish it was just I like racing games. I wish it was more racing than combat. Right. It's a little bit more racing than combat because there are 4 different cups. Each cup you have different objectives. That you have to do to move on to the next one. So this game isn't as easy right? I think it could be, it's definitely more challenging than I thought it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna knock it down just a little bit, but I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay, 8.5 out of 10. Not bad.
So, and yes, I highly recommend you play this.
Okay.
Definitely play the game.
Okay.
So, Dave, talk to me about Populous, because I know the game, but then I don't know the game.
Okay. Well, there's definitely some interesting backstory on this game, some stuff that I learned about it. But we'll get into some of the details, some of the info on this game. Came out in North America, September 1991. It was not a launch title, but came out right around, if not immediately after the Super Nintendo came out in North America. Wasn't able to find the Japanese release date, but it did come out in Japan. I believe it came out in Europe eventually as well, but details were sparse. So anyway, developed by Bullfrog Productions Limited, and I'll talk about them and why they're important in just a little bit. The Super Nintendo version was published by Acclaim Entertainment. Rest in peace, Acclaim. They are no longer with us. And this game came out on the Acorn 32-bit, the Amiga, the Atari ST, DOS, Game Boy, Genesis, Macintosh, PC-98, Sega Master System, the Sharp X6800, the Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx 16, Windows, and a little bit later on came out for the Nintendo DS with slightly reworked game mechanics and new graphics. This is a... Oh, what's that?
It came out on everything except for Stadia.
Yep. Yep. That's funny. This is a God game, and they pioneered the God game type. This was the first game of its time, and I played this on the Super Nintendo, which is the version that I played growing up because I still had a Commodore 64 at the time, so I did not have any of the aforementioned PC systems for which to play it on because it didn't come out for the Commodore. So, but anyway, this game, and the reason it's important beyond a genre-defining game. Beyond it being like essentially a launch title for the Super Nintendo, it was developed by Peter Molyneux. Well, he was working at Bullfrog Entertainment, or Bullfrog Productions, I should say.
No way, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Peter Molyneux.
That's why it came out on everything except for Stadia.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Peter Molyneux. For people who don't know, he is the God game guy. He made Black and White. He made Fable, right, when he was at Lionhead Studios. They sold off Bullfrog in 95 to EA. So EA got the rights to, I think, Theme Hospital and Theme Sim Park and Syndicate and Populous and a couple other games, too, that all came out of the EA umbrella. And what's kind of interesting about this game, one of the things I found out is that they prototyped the game using Legos to kind of...
wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. They prototyped it out because the game is like isometric, right? And
yeah,
it's got the different squares, so it's all very like angular. It all kind of fits very nice and neat together. So they kind of like they abandoned it pretty quickly because it was like kind of hard to iterate and build new bits because the Legos are pretty rigid for what they are. But to get an idea of like, hey, okay, we want the game to look like this, and here's the different, like the way the land moves up and down, and you build towns and all that. So yeah, they had like a box of Legos. They would kind of build out some stuff, and So the story, and I'm gonna quote this verbatim from the Super Nintendo manual because it's really not much of a story, but
I'm God. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. You are a supreme being with the power to command the forces of nature: earthquakes, floods, volcanoes. The power The power to turn the very oceans into fertile plains or the plains into barren rock is yours. But such power is not limitless. Its source is in its number of your followers, the followers of good, scattered on the world throughout the universe. These people look to you to level the land so they can raise their crops, build towns, and multiply. In return, as their number increases, so does your power to smite the enemy, the followers of evil. Basically, build up a civilization, get a bunch of your dudes, overtake the enemy, and that's a level. So, yeah, and that's essentially the game, right? You start off on a level, the first level of the entire game. You're on plains, right? So there's bodies of water around. There's a lot of green grass. There's a couple of mountains, and the world is there. You get a couple followers to start out with, and you basically want to level the land out so they can build settlements to then in turn create more people, and then those people go out and build more settlements, and that's how you kind of build your power up, and that's how you get more mana, right? And the more mana you get, the more powers you have, right? So leveling, like raising and lower the land, takes some mana, right? But you can do other things like you can cause floods, you can cause like volcanic eruptions, you can cause like swampland to form, and this is all in an effort to disrupt the enemy from building their civilization, right? Because they're doing what you're doing. They're building up an army and getting stronger, and ultimately you guys will meet and you'll fight. So you want to build up your land, get enough power, disrupt the enemy, go in, fight, and then go to the next level. One thing that's kind of cool is there's a couple ways to win. You can continue to build the land up and kind of disrupt the enemy, and eventually you'll overtake them. Or you can call for Armageddon, which is essentially a 1v1 battle, right? Everybody comes together and you form like a superhero basically, and they form their superhero, and it's based on
Voltron.
Kind of. I mean, you just really have like one dude who's holding your symbol for your civilization, and they just kind of go head to head. And like you can even see in the corner like how much power you have, how much power the enemy has. So you get a good idea of like when it's cool to cause Armageddon and when it's a good time to cause Armageddon. And also beneficial because if you cause Armageddon and you win, you can skip a number of levels. Because the other thing about this game is that it has 999 different levels.
What?
Yep. What? Yep. It's got basically 1,000 levels. The PC version, the original Amiga version, had 500 levels, and that was a lot. The original game only had one biome, so it was just plains. This one at least has like desert, snow, rock. There's like a video game theme one where you're playing on like dot matrix paper, right? Like printer paper, and all the little establishments are Famicom and Nintendo and Super Nintendo. So they did a little bit of work to mix it up. There's like at least 10 different biomes, and the way that they vary it beyond the themes is they'll make the enemy more difficult. They'll make them more aggressive. They'll lock you out of certain powers. Like when you get to like a lot of the later stages, you can't raise or lower the land like you normally would. So you have to find other creative ways to like make the land hospitable.
But wait, is it 1,000 stages in the SNES version? Or
yes.
Or in every version?
The Super Nintendo version has 1,000. Originally, it only had 500.
Got it. Okay.
I think like the Genesis version, I think is the same as the Super Nintendo one. So they probably are the same. So I think a lot of the later ones had the 1,000 levels. But yeah, and that's essentially the crux of the game. All right, you do that, and you kind of do that over and over again. So you either love it or you hate it. Kind of, like you're either in or you're not in. And I was in. I was in. I remember back in the day I was in. When I picked this game up again, I was definitely in on it. It scratches a certain itch for me. I know it's not necessarily a game for everybody. I know that it can get boring because you're doing the same thing just in different biomes over and over again, so the variety isn't necessarily there. But, the graphics are pleasant. They're typical, like, early Super Nintendo style, but they look good, They are kind of nicely designed for what they are. One thing I'll say, and it's funny that Jak X, you're like, I love the sound in this game, right? It's got great music by all these great rock artists. This game essentially has one song.
And it's no soundtrack, it's just one song.
Well, if you don't count the title screen, which is the most memorable music out of everything, and if you don't count the little, 4-second little ditty that, intros certain levels, there is one track, and it's terrible. It's like wind blowing through, and like a heartbeat, and that's essentially it. Some low drums, that's it. So you either rock with it or you don't. Thankfully, you can turn it off. You can turn off sound effects if you want. You can turn off the music, which most people probably will do. Put in a podcast or whatever and just kind of play the game. It's definitely not the highlight. But yeah, and that's also the low point. That's the worst thing about the game. The sound is just kind of whatever. It's not great. It's not a huge detriment to the game, but it'd be nice if it had more pleasing music, and put a little more effort into it. But yeah, like the PC version or the Amiga version has better music. It has more tracks, which I'm surprised they didn't carry that over to the Super Nintendo version. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean, love the mechanics. Created the God game genre, right? Molyneux, very, very iconic developer, right? This is a very iconic game. It's a big shift in video gaming, right? It kind of opens the door to all these new gameplay styles and whatnot. So that's definitely something to be kind of lauded, right? And if you're gonna ask me if this game holds up today, I will say yes.
Oh, mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. I thought you would be on the fence, but it's just a flat out yes.
Well, it's a little rough around the edges. It's a little monotonous, right? So I do have to say all that. But the core of it's good, right? You can definitely pick it up, play for, 15, 20, half an hour or whatever. Get some good time with it. Put it down, come back to it a little later, right? Write down the password and, pick it up again. So, not amazing, but, you kind of have to understand the time in which it came out. It was essentially a launch title for Super Nintendo. So they were still kind of working some things out. But all in all, it's, I would definitely recommend trying it. Play the game for a little bit. It's good. Now, in terms of reviews, it's a little hard to find reviews for this game, right? Because this obviously predates Metacritic, predates a lot of stuff. But I was able to find a couple of somewhat reviews. Populous appeared on a few best of lists. Complex Magazine did I think in 2018, they did a best SNES games, and this was 98 out of 100, so it made the list. Now, Super Nintendo's
barely.
Well, barely, yeah. Super Nintendo's got over 800, 900 games, I think, for the system, right? It's got a lot of games on there. So 98 out of 100, 98 out of the hundreds of games that came out for it, that's still pretty good. Ranked number 70 on the top 100 SNES games of all time, so fared a little bit better there. And that's from
what
IGN.
Yeah, okay.
That's from IGN, so it's pretty good. Wasn't able to find any straight-up reviews on this necessarily, but if I remember correctly, the temperature, the landscape, the kind of temperature on this game was pretty good. People were about it. People loved the original on the Amiga. This was a pretty solid port, sans the music, but I digress.
Well, the only review that matters is yours, Dave. What would you give?
That's a very good question, Dan. I kind of waffled around, is this game a 6? Is this game an 8.5? Is it a 9 possibly? Is it that good? Am I just going on nostalgia or the kind of genre defining aspect of it? Is that factoring in a lot? Well, I have to go with core gameplay. Can you pick this game up? Can you play this game? For sure. Is it amazing? No, but it's good. I'm gonna give it a 7.5.
Wow. Okay.
Gotta be fair about it. It's a good game. Recommend it. If you want to own this game, you can get it on Lukey loose for $6.47. Very, very cheap. You can get a Super Nintendo copy of this game if you'd like. I do own a Super Nintendo copy of this game. I bought it while I was at a concert, waiting for the main act to go on, and I picked up my copy for $5 loose on eBay, and I'm glad that I have it in my collection.
Well, you can get both games for under $20.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. So, all right, that is episode 24 in the books, folks. It's good to be back. We are happy to be back. Looking forward to big things on this podcast. Stay tuned. Big things are coming. New episode of the Rated G Show coming out.
Our anniversary.
Coming out on Tuesday. That's right. Our 7th year anniversary. Break out the streamers and the noisemakers. It's going to be a good time. If you guys want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.